You're in such a rush you might not even realize that you're rushing to live somebody else's life. Maybe the life that's meant for you is already on its way to you. And if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and trust in the process, a process that you know has an end result that might be a little further down the line than what you see your peers doing today. But if you trust in your own process and don't feel pressured to take on paths that don't sit right with your spirit, don't feel right in your gut, to take paths that when you attempt to journey down those roads, you're constantly met with blocks that turn you around, obstacles that flip your life upside down, clearly showing you that it's not where you're meant to be. And then you find yourself guided back to a place that makes you feel like you're regressing, that makes you feel like maybe you're lesser than, that people are passing you by, that life is passing you by. And I just want you to stop and consider that maybe that's exactly where you're supposed to be. And that every time you chase this other path, there's a reason it doesn't work out for you. Because if it did work out for you, you wouldn't be living the life that's meant for you. You'd be living somebody else's life. And somebody else's life will not make you happy. The life that's meant for you will make you happy. The life you're living now maybe already does make you happy, but you're so fixated on how it doesn't measure up to other people's standards that you've never paused to consider if it measures up to your own standards. And when you do pause to consider if it measures up to your own standards, you might find that it does, in many more ways than one. Many beautiful, small, subtle ways where your life is giving you joy and fulfillment that you're not giving it any credit for because you're so concerned with how it looks from the outside. A roof over your head, access to Wi-Fi, access to running water, a comfortable bed, a pillow to lay your head on, friends who love you even when you forget to reach out to them, even when you forget to text them back, parents that are still alive. One or all or a few of these things could be true for you, and maybe you don't pay attention to any of those things. Slower, more relaxed mornings because you don't have the same obligations that other people do. Or the obligations you do have are entirely self-driven instead of working to benefit the pockets of somebody you'll never meet. I know everyone wants to say that the silver linings perspective is a cliche, but the fact that you think it's a cliche is part of the reason why you can't see the silver lining and is also part of the reason why you're stuck in the dark. Because your ability to see the silver lining allows you to also see the light that glints off of that silver lining. And by looking for and welcoming light in your life, even when in other ways it appears to be darkness and only darkness, that is where you find that happiness has been with you all along and you may have just been ignoring it. Are there truly awful things that will happen to you in this life? Yes. Things that feel unfathomable, things that feel like they have absolutely no explanation and no justification. And frankly, I am no stranger to that feeling. But I also know that at the end of the day, my happiness is a choice. And even if there's nothing I can do in the present moment to feel at peace or joyful, I know there's something I can do to ensure that tomorrow is a better day than today. Even if it's as small as putting the phone down or taking a moment to write down how I feel and express myself so that I don't spiral, or self-soothing, or taking a hot bath, or having a cup of tea, or whatever it is that I decide to do. Something as simple as taking a few deep breaths. Breathing is literally free, okay? But there's always something you can do to choose peace of mind in the present. There's something you can do to make yourself feel a little bit better. And there's something you can do that helps you see that silver lining a bit clearer than you did before, especially when you're in moments of struggle. This is really just a pep talk for myself because I think 99% of the time I am more than glad to take a non-traditional path. I think a lot of my life has been non-traditional, and that's just something I'm comfortable with. I'm comfortable with constant change. I'm comfortable with pivot. I'm always comfortable with pivot. But I think there also comes a time when you know that it's time to settle in for the long haul a little bit with whatever decision you've made and to see it through. And for someone like me, those are the moments that I struggle with, because it also means that you have to see that the other options you're choosing not to take are very real, and maybe they're making other people feel good about themselves, or maybe they genuinely enjoy that life path. But once you know something's not meant for you, once you accept that the life you want is not going to be built that way, then that's all you can do, is accept that and settle into that reality, settle in for the long haul, and also settle in and accept the fact that your life is not going to look like everybody else's, because you're not doing the things that everybody else does, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be flashy. Your life doesn't have to be anything other than what you make it. And as long as you can sit down and feel satisfied with what you have, then that's more than enough. Like, I get to go to bed with my dog sleeping next to me on the floor because we're in the same country. If I took a different life path, we'd be on different continents. So there are positives to the decisions that I make, and there's many, many, many more than just that one, right? But that's one that I can always think about. My dog is either in my room or across the hall or a 15-minute drive away. He's not in another country. He's not across state lines. He's not on another continent. He's not oceans away. That's something I can always be satisfied with. My parents are nearby. My family is nearby. This is something I would not enjoy if I took other life paths. And that's just me talking about my life. You can do this with your own life, and that's what I encourage you to do. And this is probably the reason why I don't listen, separate from the fact that I don't want to drag her today because I'm trying to be nice. But part of the reason I don't listen to SZA, especially, I think it's either I don't think it's the name of the album, but that song, like 20-somethings. Like, being in your 20s is both like the best and absolute worst time of your life. And from a very young age, I always looked forward to my 30s because I figured it would just be me, but, richer, and if not richer, then wiser and like more adept at just being alive. That's all we can hope for as we age, right? Comfort and peace of mind. But I think the really difficult part of your 20s is that for whatever reason, you're a kid, you believed that your 20s would come with clarity on all things life, and that's just not true. And part of finding that clarity is kind of wading through a bunch of bullshit, and all of that bullshit hits you like a truck when you're in your 20s. So your 20-somethings are kind of a wild ride, and that's okay. It keeps things fun, it keeps things exciting, but at the same time, you're going to feel a lot of pressure to be down on yourself and to think that you're behind and to think that you're doing the worst and there's just blah, 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 blah. You can get down on yourself, but you can also just like hype yourself up and remember all of the amazing things you're doing to secure the life for yourself that you want. And building that quietly for yourself is totally okay. And you don't have to broadcast everything in order for it to feel real to you. You can make it feel real to yourself, and you can celebrate your small wins that nobody else sees and nobody else cares about. And I think, frankly, the sooner you learn to kind of shut up when it comes to not feeling the need, I think in our generation, particularly the way we grew up with social media, it's like so normal to like overshare and talk and talk and talk and talk. At least for me, it's like very normal. I mean, look, I'm a yapaholic. That's why this podcast exists. Hello. But in a very real way, it's like, yeah, I think a really great lesson you can learn in your 20s is understanding that sometimes by kind of protecting your desires, by not voicing them, you kind of protect the energy behind those desires from prying eyes. You protect it by making it sacred to yourself, by almost making that a sacred promise to yourself that not everybody needs to know about. Not everybody needs to know all of your aspirations. They can know, like, if it's relevant to them. But if it's not, like, it's very okay to just be quiet. And for some people, that's very normal. But I think for other people, if you're used to always, like, either having something to say or even when you don't have something to say, your life kind of speaks for itself a lot of the time because you're either used to being a high achiever or an overachiever or whatever. And so you feel like eyes are always on you and people are always like paying attention to you. It can feel a little bit strange to keep things to yourself and build whatever it is that you care about quietly to yourself, but that's okay. At the same time, failing publicly never killed anybody, and it's okay to make mistakes out loud. It's okay to not learn this lesson and to talk way too much and to overshare way too much and to just make a blundering fool of yourself, because that's what being young is about. And frankly, when you're 50, you're not going to give a fuck. I promise you. I'm only halfway there to 50 and I already don't give a fuck. Like, it's okay. You can choose not to give a fuck, like today. It's really fine. Embarrassing yourself also never killed anybody, okay? Every day, every second is an opportunity to reinvent yourself, because frankly, everybody else is too wrapped up in their own world to truly give a shit about what you're doing, okay? And I guess that even leads to another point of encouragement, like try everything. Try to push yourself towards the things you really want, because again, it's your life. You're the center of your own universe, okay? And everybody else is the center of their own universe too. They're way too fixated on themselves to care about how many times you've tried and failed, how many ventures you've put out there that have not succeeded. Nobody cares. And frankly, when you finally make it, they're all going to ask you how you did it. And then you're going to have to remind them, didn't you see me fail like 60 times before this worked out? And they're going to be like, oh my God, yeah, that's so true. But they were ignoring you back then. So enjoy that. Enjoy the process of being ignored. Because while you're being ignored and while you're being underestimated or undervalued, or while you're being shunned, or whatever you think is in your head is happening to you. I don't even think this is happening to me, but I'm just speaking to the void, but also speaking directly to you if you're listening, right? If you're feeling like you're not in the loop right now, that's okay. Because when you're back in the loop, then you're back in the loop. Like, you will enter that person's timeline when it's time for you to enter it. And you will materialize to them in whatever form you are, and they will take you as you are. And the people that you're meeting now in your rough state, again, are going to accept you as you are if they're supposed to be in your life right now. So just take everybody as they are. Everything happens for a reason. Some people are here forever. Some people are here for a season, and that's okay. And they teach you something. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say on this topic. It's really more a pep talk to myself, because I think, again, like, I feel like I feel good like 90% of the time, but when it's the 10% of the time where I feel like slightly odd, I have to like hype myself back up, like, bitch, you know who you are. And so I was like, let me tell whoever's listening out there, like, bitch, you know who you are, okay? So if you're having a bad day, you know who you are, so wake the fuck up, okay? It's never that deep. You're gonna get over this. Sometimes it really is that deep. I'm not gonna undermine your feelings or your emotions. They're valid, but at the same time, like, you're that girl, so like act like it. Like, we really don't have time for insecurity. Like, I'm sorry. Okay, your path doesn't have time for that. Okay, one foot in front of the other. You're gonna get there. Stop comparing yourself to everybody. Nobody cares about you. I'm sorry. They're too busy caring about themselves, the same way you're sitting there like spiraling about your own life. They're spiraling about their own life right now too. They don't care. Like, it's not that serious. But anyways, as per usual, welcome to Live Lumani. Hi, my name is Abia Mudo. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. Don't even know what episode this is, but I better post it because I have a habit of drafting. So with the podcast, I'm really avoiding doing that. So I want to say this is episode either 3 or 4. I'm going to say 3, and it will be posted because we hold ourselves accountable in this house. So you will see this. And I love you, and thank you for spending time with me. And I hope your type B friend texts you back eventually and sends you that long-ass voice memo, because, yeah, but until she does, hope this helped. Bye.